Due to time constraints, I'm not going to read you the depositions themselves. So what I encourage you to do is to go to docketupdates.com, click on depositions, and choose Alex Sachs. And then when I'm reading you this section of Blake Lively's 56.1 response, there are citations. I want you to do your own research, do your own thing, and look at what they're citing, what it says versus what they say it says. Also, there are pages that they cite that for some interesting reason, despite citing them, they have not unsealed them, despite unsealing other pages, which makes me wonder, because I never think any of that is a coincidence. So it makes me wonder if there's something else on those pages that they don't necessarily want people to see. I don't know. But they cite them, but they don't unseal them. So I just want to know why. So let's look. So Sachs recalled Baldoni consistently yelling at her and exhibiting rageful yelling or interrupting reaction when she spoke with him. I would like to bring up that she says consistently yells at her and rageful yelling or interrupting reaction. But when you look at how many times did he yell at you in a span of March, April, May, June, 4 months, she said 3. And actually, not all of them were yelling. Some of them were just interrupting. I'm sorry. I didn't know interrupting was SH or anything bad. Yeah, it's not nice. People need to work on not interrupting people, but I'm sorry. What? Also failed to state that Justin Baldoni would apologize not because she said he did anything wrong, but because he felt bad. She never even told him she was upset by him yelling. He went up to her and apologized for doing it. And then he also apologized when he had interrupted her. And he apologized to the whole group because he interrupted her in front of the whole group. He apologized in front of the whole group. So all of these things are very nicely, left out. Anyways, so then they put this section here. What is interesting is this citation of 85, 9 to 15. They did not provide an unsealed version of this deposition page. I want to know why. But they quote her as saying, okay, and do you think that those that Mr. Baldoni's being curt with you had, that it was gender bias? Is that what you're telling us? The witness, I don't know, honestly. But I want to clarify, it actually wasn't him being curt. It was usually the opposite of that. It was usually that it provoked a sort of rageful yelling or interrupting reaction. Do you notice that ... That means that there were more conversations in between this question and this answer. And I think this is part of the reason why they don't show us what the page looks like. This is, I think, part of the reason why they don't unseal it, even though they've unsealed other pages. And then they also follow up, but did you ever observe Mr. Baldoni become physically intimidating with a man on set in connection with a film? She responds, not that I can recall. Did you ever observe Mr. Baldoni yell at a man in connection with a film? And she goes, not that I can remember. So it says in January 2023, Baldoni yelled at Sachs during a Zoom with other film leaders, raising his voice to her during a discussion about the script. Okay, again, the omittance of his apology. Baldoni did not go to New Jersey to begin production until March 2023 and was presumably in California at this time, where he resided and where Wayfair was headquartered. On February 18, 2023, Baldoni yelled at Sachs during another Zoom meeting. Baldoni sent Sachs an email the next day acknowledging that it was not okay for me to interrupt you and then mansplain, and that he had been trying very hard not to interrupt women in his life. Baldoni promised to make sure that interrupting doesn't happen again to any of the women involved in this film. Okay, they include this apology, and probably because he makes a promise not to do it again. Or to make sure that it doesn't happen again. But here's the thing. It's an interruption, not a yelling, an interruption. So you got one yelling situation, and actually it just said raised his voice, which is not even yelling, for one. But because, how do I say it's not yelling? Because I have Alex Sachs on video saying, have I ever raised my voice? Probably. And raising your voice and yelling are two different things. And she makes that distinction, right? She would never yell at somebody. But has she raised her voice? Yes. And here, they're saying he raised his voice. And, again, omits the apology. but he does apologize. And February 18 here again, probably wanting to highlight that he said he wasn't ever going to interrupt women again, and now lo and behold, he interrupted women. Like, ma'am, that's not SH. It said on set in June of 2023, Baldoni came up behind the monitor where Sachs was sitting, yelled, and then slammed his hands down on the director's chair next to her. Slammed his hands down, stop, rewind, stop. Sorry. And stormed away. Okay, literally, she said, and walked away. They got to be extra dramatic here. He stormed away. He literally walked away. Sachs felt physically intimidated by Baldoni. Sachs, who was seated in front of Heath and Giannetti and surrounded by several other crew members at that time, she said maybe 5 people, right, told Mr. Heath and Miss Giannetti that if Mr. Baldoni behaved that way again, she would walk off the movie. She never walked off the movie. So use your noggin. Did it ever happen again? Probably not, because she said she would walk off the movie unless she was lying. She was venting. Sachs felt sidelined by Baldoni and Heath. This one's about like a coffee table conversation. On June 15, 2024, Sachs texted Giannetti about the film's screenwriter, Christy Hall. This is a very important point. She never texted her in real time. This is happening after Book Bonanza. This is when all the getting into people's heads that Blake Lively started doing. The little intentional whisper to make people come to Giannetti and claim all of these things that they never claimed before. And what was she claiming all of a sudden about Christy Hall? That Justin was very dismissive of her when she wanted to direct, and then used Jamie to try and manipulate her. And then she felt like he tried to use her for cover with Lively and Hoover a bunch. And she didn't feel respect as a female voice on the team and on a movie like this. That felt especially bad. Sachs went on, Hall just doesn't want to be associated with him and them. You know, I would love to know how Christy Hall feels about like this whole thing, seeing this text message, because she got so surprised by what Blake Lively claimed about Ryan Reynolds. I wonder if she's going to be very surprised by what Sachs claimed that she said, or how she's presenting it here. I just wonder. Also, I am very curious about what 125 and 131 say. Pages 125 and 131. They cite those full pages, but they didn't provide an unsealed version of it. Show us the pages.